Architecture school is no joke. It's one of the most time-consuming majors there is, between so many studio lessons, different project skills, group and solo assignments, not to mention the usual theory tests and all. It's a heavy workload, and by talking with you guys, I saw that the actual architecture program varies a lot from country to country. From just an undergrad with an uninterrupted internship being enough to practice architecture, design and build stuff, to having to do part 1, part 2, multiple internships, validations. Therefore, architecture school isn't easily defined, and each one of us here will go through a different experience. Actually, to have this conversation, we need to open our minds a bit. Let's go outside. This video is a list of 5 things I wish I knew before going to architecture school. A video that I wanted to have watched back then. You might be currently in your first years or now going into masters, or even just on my channel and are looking into this major. Either way, hopefully this video can give you a different perspective on your journey. I'm not here to say that architecture school is a bunch of all-nighters in a row where you neglect your mental health and grind until you die. On the contrary, actually, as someone that has worked a bit on the traditional path and has now found a very untraditional area, and also as someone that has access to students all over the world and can connect with a wide range of firms, from the small to the massive and famous ones, I want to share some insights with you. Maybe you're in need of them, or you may only understand once you go through architecture school. What I'm about to share doesn't get discussed enough, so please use the comment section below to also give your input to future students or peers. Architecture school is just part of your journey. Don't be too hard on yourself. I know, when you're deep into architecture school, so involved with all of the projects and submissions, you don't think about anything else. Your head is completely there, focused. You have that feeling that you have to do your maximum right from the very first project and actually perform perfectly, or else you'll be doomed and won't be able to join any of the top firms locally or internationally. You get into that rhythm, not caring about your mental health anymore. Weekends and family dinners are skipped to meet your desired progress, and other students around you are doing the same, and you also feel pressured to keep going. Such a toxic environment. Let me tell you this, your architecture career won't be ruined if you also put other needs into priority. As a matter of fact, your first years in undergrad are just your very first steps in your journey. It does not set your entire life path as an architect. Architecture school only teaches you a small portion of what you need to know. It actually has the purpose of mainly teaching you how to solve problems. The real technical part and day-to-day needs you only get by doing internships and then actually working as an architect. There's so much more of construction detailing, cost of things, very specific urban parameters that are not seen in school, plus dealing with real clients. Oh, and managing different teams with project compatibility. Much more. I guess this exact moment that we're living with everyone sharing only their best versions to social media has undoubtedly had a big impact on the architecture community. I mean, people getting millionaires by 25, building businesses and exceeding their careers right from the university. Chill out, no one is expecting you to do any of that. Take a look at all the architects and firms that inspire you. They are usually older people, some younger sure, but in their 40s at least, and that's no coincidence. It takes years to become great at this profession, and it's not just one shot of making it happen. I'm not saying that's easy and it doesn't require sacrifice and loads of extra working hours. Working in this field is indeed hard. I'm just saying that a career is much more than architecture school. Bachelor's only or master's. Networking plays a major role in all of this, but that's maybe a topic for another video. The 90% rule. This is something I learned only in the final years of my bachelor's, but it has helped me tremendously, especially in my final thesis, which there's a video about it in case you haven't watched. Hear me out. How do you know when a design is ready or has been fully developed and fine-tuned enough? In large firms, they usually distinguish all of the possibilities by literally designing endless options for a specific project, so that when they move into detailing and construction, they are certain about it. In architecture school, for starters, you're solo or even in small groups. Then you don't have much time, and even you don't have all of that experience to know for certain how to move forward. A project done in university will always have something to improve. You can always get that one extra session with a professor to enhance the space, or tweak a bit of the entrance to adjust the public versus private flow, or revisit a few design decisions that you took. Deadlines are what tell you to stop designing and start working on your presentation. You know, representing and communicating your project. So what I've found out is that if I stop working and perfecting the design 90% of the way and leave extra days to work on an impeccable perspective section, for example, or that sweet axonometric diagram, it will count a lot more towards creating a strong project with a irrefutable concept/party. It usually gets you better grades because who is critiquing your work understands your ideas better. Your portfolio becomes stronger with more visually appealing drawings, which leads you to being accepted into better internships or job positions. Not to mention you avoid all-nighters or at least reduce the possibility of needing to pull one. Be aware that designing in school is a lot more about experimenting and learning the process than what's actually done in a real firm. There, you would spend a lot more time refining a design because it's actually going to be built. This is kind of the reason I'm doing what I'm doing. A big part of the architect's profession is communicating ideas, and it's something that's not fully taught in schools. So just as I said, it's surprising how architecture school often miss out on teaching a crucial aspect of our profession, how we communicate. In today's digital world, mastering a digital tool is essential for architects. This is where our courses come in. Whether you're a student, recent grad, or someone considering architecture school, learning how to effectively represent and visualize your ideas is key. We've developed 4 premium courses to help you achieve just that. Our InDesign for Architects All About Portfolio course teaches you the essential techniques to craft an outstanding portfolio. Creating Better Plans dives into the often underestimated art of plan creation. It helps you take them to the next level. And the Isometric Diagrams Masterclass covers a range of different diagrams from basic to complex. And for perfecting your architectural images, our Architecture Post-Production Photoshop course walks you through the best non-destructive workflow. You can find detailed information about each course in the link in the video description, and by enrolling in the course, you not only enhance your skills, but also support this channel, so that we can continue producing high quality and free content here on YouTube. Thank you for all of the support, and now let's dive into the third item. Hand drawing, prior skills or knowledge? You don't need to be skilled at hand drawing to go to architecture school. That's a bold claim, I know, but in reality, you need to be able to express ideas on paper. It's not about knowing how to draw stuff, but communicating through sketches. Something that happens frequently during studio sessions in university is you sit down with your group and possibly a professor to get a one-on-one critique session. You bring in your ongoing drawings and you doodle over it. You add some sketches around the plan and exchange ideas. Often words are not enough to talk about space and buildings. I mean, if you haven't touched a pencil ever, you should consider practicing it. You will even use this type of skill later once you join a firm. Also, but not mandatory, but I had a little bit of previous knowledge in Photoshop before going to architecture school, and this kinda helped me a lot. So learning a creative software like Photoshop and Illustrator can help you in your first years of school. It gives you more ways to express ideas that sketches won't give, or that CAD and BIM software is too technical. Again, it's not mandatory, but if you're looking to learn a new program before going to school, or are right now in your first years, you might wanna look into that. 4. The school that you go to matter. It does, but not the way you think. Quick parenthesis, as I'm editing out this video, I thought about adding this comment here. It's not about what the status of a school name gets you. Sure, slapping a prestigious school on your resume can open a few doors for you, but from all the firms that I've talked to, they are always more interested in seeing your portfolio, in seeing your work, and if you're able to show that with consistency, than just having a degree from that specific school. So don't worry too much about that, just make the most out of your reality. Now let's get back to what I was saying. But I'm actually referring to something else when I say that the school that you go to matters. I've noticed this in my undergrad, but I've picked a lot more by talking with students. Each school, and in a sense faculty, has its characteristics. School of thought. Architecture is a very subjective area with many nuances of the right approach to a design. You might lean towards a more rational with straight lines architecture, or the opposite with free forms and some curves here and there. You might think showing the building's structural elements and the realness of a material is the right approach, or think that a building can express different emotions with extra shells and materials. Architects can be very arrogant creatures, as most of you know, and old professors that are architects sometimes even more. So what I'm trying to say here is that if you go to a specific university that has a specific way of thinking, this will most certainly influence your training. You might not notice this when you first start school, as I didn't have, but I've heard a lot from students that despite their projects making sense and being correct in many ways, Their professor simply said that it was garbage, like total garbage, and had them redo following some other rules. And when these specific students had an exchange year in another school, for example, where this other faculty was more open to other ways of designing, the critiques were handled much more positively. Architecture is rational, math, numbers, physical, but also subjective, emotions, art, history. This topic is hard to describe and not easy to take action on back when you're just getting started in undergrad, but maybe if you're looking into a master's, you should consider finding a school that you can relate to. And if you have a story to share about a situation like this, please let me know in the comments below. Last but definitely not least, an architecture degree opens a lot of possibilities. This might sound cliche coming from some guy doing YouTube, but I'm connecting back with myself when I was starting my architecture journey. The only possible scenario I could visualize myself back then was to perform my very best on school projects and extracurricular stuff to then land a traditional job in a traditional firm to design and build in a very corporate and hierarchical format. That's, I guess, the world's view on the architect's job, but then I learned that there's so much more than that. I'm gonna list just a couple of options from the many that exist, but you can work in exhibitions, set and stage designs, video games even, light design, competition-driven, researcher, or even theory-focused to work on the academic field. There's this particular firm that I love, Niche Arquitetos, that also focuses on visual communication. They do both for their own design, but also for other firms, from simple floor indications, signs, and icons to massive color coordination, murals, and facades. Also, going into architectural photography is a path you could take. Learning how to design buildings helps you capture them. Any visual and artistic field, really. Architecture school teaches you how to solve problems. There's no right or wrong path here. A traditional isn't better or worse than untraditional. I'm just trying to expand your mind and show you that architecture is much more than the typical corporate career path, something I wish I had known when I was 18. Hopefully this video gave you a different point of view. Remember that this is just my take on this. Feel free to agree or disagree. And let me know in the comments below if I missed something. What would you add to this list? And now, since you got to the end of the video, here are 2 short extra items. Remember not to let competitiveness dominate you. You don't always need to be the best in your class. And also, architecture school is the time to be creative and explore. Life and a real job are already too serious. Okay, see you in the next video.